Acharya save the whole world, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Shri Bhai Paramahansa Saraswati Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Guru Parampara ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radhika Radha Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki He Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Dam Kanda Radhika Giri Govardhan ki Davandam ki Jagadam ki Jagannath Puri ki Tulsi Devi ki Bhakti Devi ki Samaya Bhaktivinoda ki Gaura Premananda. Oh, glory to this number. Glory to this number. Glory to this number. Glory to Shri Guru and Shri Nanda.
There's some place for Mataji's. Everybody browse Yeshomati Nandan Kirtan in your mobile phone and you see the projector. Yeah, even this here.
Hare Krishna. Yasomati Nandana. Please go ahead. Yasomati Nandana, Rajavarana, Janakana.
Yasomati Nandana, Yasomati Nandana,
Lord Krishna is the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the transcendental lover in the land of Raja, the delight of Gokula Kana, a nickname of Krishna, the wealth of the lives of gopis. He steals the mind of even Cupid and punishes the Kaliya serpent. These pure holy names, these pure holy names of Lord Hari are full of sweet nectarian pastimes. Krishna is the Lord of the 12 forests of Vraja. He is ever youthful and is the best of the lovers. He is always playing on a flute and he is an excellent dresser. Krishna is the protector of the inhabitants of Vraja, the destroyer of the various demoniac dynasties, the keeper and tender of Nanda Maharaj's cow, the giver of pleasure to the cows, land, and spiritual senses, the husband of the goddess of fortune, the butter thief, and the beautiful covered boy of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna wanders along the banks of the river Yamuna. He stole the garments of the young damsels of Raja who were bathing there. He delights in the mellows of Rasa dance. He is very merciful, the lover of beloved Srimati Radharani, the great dancer of Vrindavan, and the shelter and the only refuge of Thakur Bhakti Vinoda. Jai!
You see, we're told by various religions that we should love God. But how can we love God if we don't know about it? Just an Allah Akbar or something. But here, so much description. How God is great. It's okay, God is great. But how can you just love something great? But here we can love. It is so much to love about Krishna. He steals the butter from the cowherd, the elderly cowherd lady. It's like a mischievous child. He performs superhuman activities from the very childhood, lifting over downhill. So we can relate that this is a person, and a person who has likes and dislikes. Every person, like Christ also said, has a will. Thy will be done. So Krishna also, God also has a will. It's just impersonal. That means we're more than him because we can think and feel and will. But he's just an energy. No. He's the source of the energy. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratisthano. The Brahman energy is resting on Krishna, just like this table is resting on the floor. So nothing outside of Krishna. Hamsa vasya pava. In the 10th chapter, he declares, for me, everything material and spiritual comes. At the same time, he's a naughty child. He's a lover of the gopis. So this, something inconceivable. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this philosophy of Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. Simultaneously one and different. We shouldn't think that with our little brain, here we are, in one little place in India, and India is one country and so many countries. And, the earth is one planet and so many planets, and so we shouldn't think that we're so important. We're very minute, amsa. Therefore, what is our qualification to know the absolute truth? Only way if the absolute truth agrees to reveal himself to us. Otherwise, these big scientists, they want to tell us everything came from a big bang, and then they're going to tell us what caused the big bang. You know, this is just speculation. But because they have a big brain and they can juggle words, people accept it. Who is this guy who just left his body? Hawkins? He's famous. Why? Because he can think. And that's all he was doing, speculating. What is the use of that thinking? If he could come out of that wheelchair, then we say, oh, God. But no, he's very much subjected to the laws of material nature. And the laws of material nature are working under Krishna. He clearly describes. Daivihi Sagunamayi. These gunas, these modes of material nature, are under my control. And nobody can escape that unless we come to the transcendental pollution. That's mentioned in the 14th chapter. You are all intelligent people I can see. You should study this Bhagavad Gita backwards and forward because it's got a wonderful information there. And then your doubts will be removed. This is the whole thing, right? We met Srila Prabhupada and we were impressed. He was so convinced about what he was doing. So convinced. There was no shadow of a doubt. Once he was debating with a scholar, the scholar stopped and said, How do you know that? So Prabhupada had that. He was so convinced. And how he knew? Because he got it from his spiritual master, and originally from Krishna. It's coming down. Our process is easy. We don't have to be a great, thinker or something. We just have to agree to accept the message as Krishna spoke to Arjuna, or as is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. You don't have to, you could say, overthink it. That's described there. One of the four people who don't come to Krishna, Mayayata Paritagyana, those who are too smart. Prabhupada once said there's a Bengali saying that if someone is over-intelligent, he should be shot. Because how intelligent can you be? Like we were in one little room here, we have a limited brain. So how are we going to know everything? That's what the scientists want. They want to bring everything in, and then they can dissect it, and with the telescope, and they're going to know everything. No, it's not like that. The absolute truth happens to be a person. And unless he agrees to reveal himself to you, you're not going to know him. You're going to remain in illusion. This Maya is called illusion. Illusion that I'm important. Everybody is born with false ego, even a little child on a plane, right? They don't care if they disturb 200 people. Because they're thinking like that, I'm the center of the universe. Actually, the psychiatrists say that at a certain age, the child thinks he's the center of the universe. But this is our disease. Everyone is born with this disease of false ego. And so that's why the Buddhists and the Mayavadi, they want to eliminate the ego. But we say false ego is like -1. So eliminating makes it 0. So that's an improvement. But what about +1? +1 is what we're getting information that yes, you have an identity. What is that identity? Das, Anudas. You're the servant of the gopis in Vrindavan. When Sanat Goswami came to Lord Chaitanya embraced him. He said, first of all, he told him, you've done what nobody else can do in this material world, given up big position. He was the prime minister of the whole country. But he gave it up just to sit at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. And then Sanat Goswami asked 2 questions. Kayami, Bengali, right? Who am I? And why do I suffer? This is a good question. Most people never even think about it. Or they think about it, well, that's the nature. You have to suffer in order to enjoy or something. But no. Our nature is Satchidananda, full of knowledge, eternity, and bliss. We're meant to enjoy perpetually, without a break, and varieties. Once we were on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, and we were out in a field, and Prabhupada said, if Bhaktivedanta Swami sat down here, who would come? So he built a big temple to bring people there. And the other side is, if you're just sitting down in the field for eternity, you'll think, oh, what am I doing here? Let's get on go to Calcutta and see what's happening. In other words, all 3 features have to be there. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ananda means variety. If you're not doing anything, you're just being, where's the bliss? So we want bliss. It means variety. Variety is the spice of life. Variety is the mother of enjoyment. But they're preaching that everything becomes 1, or everything is 0. Where's the variety? We're looking for happiness. This is because we're originally Krishna conscious, so we want to connect with that joy again. We made a mistake. We put ourselves in the center. In the spiritual world, everybody agrees to put Krishna in the center. But we're born thinking that we're the center. This child now, he's ready to cause disturbance because why not? Why not? The mentality is there. I'm the center. Just it's a cultural shock on the roads here for me, the way people drive. So everybody wants to get ahead, right? Nobody's saying, okay, you can go. Why? Because it's the same disease, false ego. I should be the one who gets there first. And that's why we study the history. I was in a Gurukul in Vrindavan, and I was talking to the boys years ago. And I said, so what did you study today? And they said, we studied history. I said, what did you learn in history? Yeah, we learned that history is one war after another. That's how we divide history. Pakistani war, Bangladesh war, World War I, World War II. It goes on. Now there's Ukrainian war. It's bound to happen because everybody loves himself the most. Therefore, the parents have to train the child. No, you can't hit your brother. You can't. Why not? I want to. No. There has to be this training. You all know that. So when we're coming on the spiritual side, then we agreed to be trained by Prabhupada. That was our only qualification. We didn't know Bhagavad Gita. We didn't know this culture. It's a wonderful culture. So you have advantage over us in so many ways, all of you. But the only qualification we had was we agreed to allow Prabhupada to guide us. It's not so hard, just agree. And then he takes charge, he'll help us. And if you want to act independently, at least with me, he chastised me. He chastised me a few times. Strongly. I don't want to brag about it. Because I was a fool. And his chastisement was required, and I was, you can say, fortunate enough that I could tolerate it without thinking that he has some motive. Because generally, if somebody, gets too in our face, so to speak, at the office or whatever, everything that we see there's some motive there. They're not pure. There's some envy maybe. And so it causes friction. We feel tense. We maybe even feel like retaliating. This is what keeps the world in chaos. There's always retaliation. So with Prabhupada, we could see, at least I was convinced in the early days, that he was my well-wisher. That I didn't have to, defend myself, or I could be even humiliated. He didn't humiliate us, but we were grown people, but he did correct us, and sometimes in public. But everybody knew that was mercy. At least I knew it. And anybody intelligent could see that the Prabhupada signed every letter, your ever well-wisher. He had no malice, absolutely none. He was always, and loved everybody. He wanted everybody to come back to God. That was his move. Once we were with Srila Prabhupada in London, and I was fortunate because I was the senior brahmachari there, so I was giving the service of giving massage to Prabhupada. So every day at 11 o'clock, we were staying at John Lennon's estate. I would go and I'd call up, say, "Hi, Bo," and he said, "Come up." I'd come up. And then he had the first time, he taught me how to do it, right? On his head, we massaged with sandalwood oil. The rest of his body was mustard seed oil. And then we finished with his feet. And then maybe 45 minutes or 1 hour. So the first time I did it, I never gave massage before. I massaged like that and so on. And then when I finished, I said, "Prabhupada, I never gave massage before. I'm going to go to the library today and get a book on how to give massage." Right? Why not? So, Prabhupada, not necessary. He said, "You read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will tell you how to give massage." And that was Prabhupada's mood. He wanted us to, from wherever position we are, we don't have to change our position. We don't have to accumulate some knowledge or money or something in order to get into devotional service. You can begin from any platform. That's the wonderful thing about devotional service. You don't have to qualify. Only qualification is your desire to please Krishna. That's qualification to have. And Prabhupada is the representative of Krishna. Another time we were at the same period, Prabhupada was giving class, and in the evening, Bhagavad Gita class. And at one point he said how he was the spiritual master was the representative of Krishna. And the way he said it, and I was very close to him, I got like a mystical experience that this is not an ordinary person. He's just sitting a few feet away from me, but he's really a representative of Krishna, and he's right here. Like that, I had some kind of realization. So next day I was going to give massage, and I said, Srila Prabhupada, I very much liked your class last night. And Prabhupada said, oh, what part did you like? And I told him that he said he was the representative of Krishna. So Prabhupada accepted that. I could tell another story how I was flattering him and he didn't accept it. He chanted it. But this time he accepted it fully. And then he turned it around and gave it back. That was the way Prabhupada dealt. He said, you also can be representative of Krishna. When you say, Prabhupada said, he used his own name, or Krishna said, then you're also representing Krishna. See, represent. It's easy. You just read, even a child can do it. There was a child, what was it, Malati's daughter? Yeah, I met her, I was there. So, she would go up to people, like she was 4 years old or something. She would go up to adults and look at it. Hello, you know who God is? And they would look at us. No, who's God? Krishna. And Prabhupada liked that. He said, this is preaching. So even a 4-year-old child can preach. We don't have to first of all, become Mahabhagavats, and then we can. Each one of us, we can preach to our friends, to our children, and try to bring them to this point of pleasing Krishna. It's a natural thing once we get the habit. Like that, I was giving the example of riding a bicycle. It seems very formidable. How's it going to stand up, right? But once you get the technique, once you get the hang of it, it's easy to ride a bicycle. But it looks a little awesome. It's going to tip over. But once you realize that this energy that you're moving forward will keep it, and then it's easy. So something like that with Krishna consciousness. In the beginning it may seem difficult, but I see for you all, it's not difficult. It's in your blood. You people are really into the chanting. I'm in awe that so many of you are so fired up to chant the holy name with such enthusiasm. Where did you get all that enthusiasm from? Like Prahlad said to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu said, where do you get the energy to defy me? He said, I get it from the same place you get your energy from Krishna. So this is it. Krishna is already working here. And you're all educated people. So what is where do you meet regularly? Here? This is not big enough. Come on. How are we going to do? Find a better place. And you're pretty far out, and you're near the airport, so it would be convenient. You could catch the sannyasis. And come here. So we already have 3 centers in Hyderabad, right?
Yes, madam.
I think everybody can hear me without any microphone. Can you hear me?
This I wanted to give if somebody wants to talk.
Yeah. Still, you're broken, bro. Okay, who's talking? Question?
Maharaj, about this place, just to say a few words. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want the microphone?
No, it will shout. Yeah. So Maharaj, we are around 6 to 7 Bhakti Rikshas here.
6 foot.
Bhakti Rikshas, satsangs. 6 to 7 groups.
So you don't all in one group, right?
We have one group and we also have small groups within us.
Okay.
So here in this locality, this is called as High-Tech City.
High-Tech City.
Yeah, it's all technology and all the big companies. You would have seen big buildings coming. So we all work in all those buildings. Like somebody works for Amazon, somebody works for Microsoft,
Okay.
like that. And we all have satsangs on Saturday. So Saturday morning, on Sunday morning we have separate satsangs, and Sunday evening we have one combined satsang.
Here.
Yeah, not here, this house. We take a hall. We take a bigger hall.
That's what I was going to say. Why
Yeah.
not take a big hall?
Sunday evening will be almost like 100, 120.
No, we had a bigger hall. The kirtan could be better.
Yes.
I like to dance. I like to dance running sometimes.
Morning time, so not many came. Evening time,
Not
many
many.
more. Morning. But next time you please come here. Let's welcome Trivikram Maharaj again. New Year Day, we already took a big hall. More than 150-200 devotees will come.
Are we still in India?
Yeah. If you are here, Maharaj, it will be very nice. We can bring you.
Where are we on 31st? And the sannyasi was in charge. I knew him because I was in Orlando, so it's just close. Maharaj left his body 20 miles from where I was in Florida. It's a big loss. Prabhupada was very much happy. He said, this is the
It's a little far, it's coming, Maharaj.
Huh?
It's a little far, it's coming from this side. Keep the mic a little close to you, it's coming. Yeah. So, Maharaj, we want to, one request is, most of us are like grandchildren of Prabhupada. We could not see Prabhupada. Next generation is you, and now we are here. The connection with Prabhupada is, we struggle a little, to connect. Only when we have so like we get that connection. So if we can please establish that connection in our hearts while you are here.
priceless moments with the pure devotee. So
Very good.
I've recorded all my, I did have quite a bit of association. More, but of course if I tell you everything, you might not buy the book.
No, we want to relish everything, Prabhuji, again and again. We'll buy it.
Maharaj,
I'm just teasing.
Maharaj, 250 books are pre-ordered already from this place. 250 books are pre-ordered already. Please tell us where.
Okay. So I was telling how the story where Prabhupada said that he was the representative, or I said it, and he said anybody can represent. But previous to that, when Prabhupada first came, we were in London, of course, and we had the biggest first open program, and sometimes some Hindus were there. There was about 300 or 400 people, a lot of Hindus in London, so it was mostly Hindus. And one guy was interrupting, like, what about Lord Shiva, what about something? And Prabhupada got really heavy with them. We never saw Prabhupada. Prabhupada was very mild and humble. But he told this guy, sit down, you are nonsense. And so we were, so the next day was a series of lectures. The next day I was giving a massage, and I was thinking I'm getting him in shape for another knockout performance. And I was massaging and talking and massaging. It was kind of like my mood was, me and you probably could take over the world. So Prabhupada didn't like it. But then suddenly he said, emphatically, he said, no. And my hands like froze on his body. And then he spoke with another voice, like a child, like a 7, 8-year-old boy. He spoke from way from his heart. And he said, I am just a humble servant. So that's really how Prabhupada saw himself. You may think, how is it possible? He was the big master wherever he went. People glorified him. He had big, so many followers and the asasans. But he knew that his real position is that he's a servant of his spiritual master. He's a servant of Krishna. So he wasn't being artificially humble when he said, I am just a humble servant. That was his realization. He was a humble servant. And so he was humble. It wasn't artificial. Of course, sometimes he could be very bold for preaching for Krishna. Like Arjuna had to be bold, shooting arrows. So Prabhupada said, we in the Kali Yuga we don't shoot arrows, we fight with our words. But he would fight. I saw him personally kind of annoyed with the Mayavadis, the Ramakrishna mission, these people. Because they take Bhagavad Gita, but they twist the meaning. And I saw Prabhupada express that. Why don't they write their own book? Why they take Bhagavad Gita and twist Krishna's words? And it disturbed him. That Krishna's clearly saying, Man Man Bhava Mata, you surrender to me, Aham Tvam Savakam. And they say that everything is one. Or Yatama Chatapa, you can do whatever you want. So Prabhupada didn't like that. And he also mentioned sometimes that Krishna had two functions, to save the devotees and to kill the demons. So he said, therefore this movement should curve down all these so-called movements, Hindu movements. So that's your responsibility. Your friends who are impersonalists, I'm sure you have them, because in India, people are Mayavadis, right? Everything is one, right, or something like that. So we have to learn how to confront them in a respectable way and make them see that this is foolish. If everything is one, where did the variety come from? What caused the variety? There must have been some other energy that caused the one to become many. So that means there's two. You can't get away from it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a perfect philosophy. Chinta, Veda, Vedatattva. It's one and also different. It's true, there's nothing outside of God, but within that oneness, there's a variety of energies. Just like fire is one, but has two energies, light and heat. So God is one, but he has multi-energies. And one of them is the living entity, us. Other one is matter, and then there's the Lord himself. Those are three main categories. So a simple philosophy, we have to convince these people to please Prabhupada. Then I was saying how, what time, how much time we have?
We have 45 minutes. 1 hour.
1 hour. We have more Kirtan. I can tell a story about Kirtan. We were in Vrindavan in 1974, and Prabhupada had been a little bit ill. He had come there because they were talking about opening the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Janmashtami, but it got delayed. It opened in April. So Prabhupada was there, and every night he would come for the program. So everybody had to come. There's only 40, 45 devotees there. And we all came, and Prabhupada would sit. He didn't take part in the program, so we had to speak. Sannyasis. It was kind of scary giving Bhagavad Gita class in front of Prabhupada. But we just stick to the basic points. And then Prabhupada said, okay, and then next to second kirtan. In other words, he minimized the speaking. If somebody spoke too long, he sent a servant and said, that's enough. And he was emphasizing the kirtan. That was his mood, at least at that point, was speak less and chant more. And I imbibed that mood, so I like to. That's why I'm asking if we're going to have time for another kirtan. Because you people are fired up. Okay, so then after one of those programs, it was going on for a couple of weeks, Prabhupada came back to take rest. It was September, so it was still hot in Vrindavan, and he was sleeping outside in a little wooden bed. The mosquito net wasn't covered, wasn't up yet, but he was sitting on bed. And Shruti and I were sitting on the ground, and then Prabhupada spoke. He spoke like a real conviction. He said, this kirtan is the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya. It gives us life. And if we don't get life in the kirtan, simply sex life. That's it. And we were all here because we were attached to sex life. It's a fact. I'm lady. Who knows that verse? I'm too lady here. Sukam. So, kirtan, how is it that kirtan can help us overcome our lust? Because we're talking about lust now. How many people only have sex life just for beginning children? Krishna says, I am that sex life. But maybe devotees of it, but in general, people try to have sex life without being responsible, right? They don't want children. They use contraceptive or abortion or something. So anyway, this is our philosophy, that the biggest binding principle, because there's a pleasure there. We don't deny it. It's like nature's trick, such an intense pleasure, because then it's such an intense pain in the neck to take care of the children for 25 years. So it's compensated. So now, Prabhupada said like that, and we see practically that I'm a passionate person somewhat, right? I mean, I wasn't like an intellectual type who used to just like to read or something. I was always like this. I was in the Navy. I had been with women. So how is it that I'm sannyasi for 50 years? Only because of this kirtan. I'm telling you. It gives me juice. It's a special mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada said that And I didn't, it went into my heart. I thought, yes, I'm going to try to emphasize the kirtan. And it works, it really does. I'm 81 now. I don't think I'm going to get married, right? Unless somebody curses me. Please give you a blessing that I can remain sannyas for the last breath. So then, another story, that was in Vrindavan. Yeah. We were saying how Prabhupada loved us. So I was giving massage, I was attached to the service, so I wanted to go with him when he left. But he was there for 3 months in London. And we installed a deity and so on. London Ishwar. Shishi Radha London Ishwar. That's a whole other story I could tell. So anyway, we're getting ready for Prabhupada to leave just a few days before. And I had been asking him if I could come with him when he left and continue the service of giving massage. So he would say, he was not committed. I said, let's see what Krishna wants. He didn't say yes or no. But then his servant came to me and said to me, stop bothering Prabhupada about going to America. Another devotee, Prabhupada already gave permission for him to give massage to Prabhupada when Prabhupada arrives there. His name is Upendra. So I thought probably that's the case. But I wanted to double check. So I was driving Prabhupada. I was the surah and chauffeur. I was driving Prabhupada in London. And they drive on the wrong side of the road. Oh, you people in India drive. So anyway, we were driving and I said to Prabhupada, very clearly, there's only 2 of us in the car. I said, Srila Prabhupada, look, your Purushottam, his servant, said that Upendra is going to be giving you a massage when you come to America. So Prabhupada responded with utter silence. Not a word, not a peep. Didn't look at me. It was just like I hadn't even said it. So then I realized this is an indication that what Purushottam said was true, and I'm not going. So I digested that and I accepted it. Okay, I'm not going, it's fine. I'm trying to manage wherever I go. And but the silence was still there. So I wanted to break the silence, at the same time let Prabhupada know that I was resigned to not going. So I said, Srila Prabhupada, I never met Upendra. Is he a nice boy? And then Prabhupada turned to me and said, not as nice as you. So it went right in my heart. Prabhupada loved me. I saw that. He had many times I could see that it wasn't just a formal thing, guru disciple. He loved me. Sometimes, and therefore I didn't mind being chastised because I knew it was to make me a better person. Shri Prabhupada ki. Yay! But some of you must have direct communication with Prabhupada. How many have had dreams of Prabhupada? Only a couple, huh? I once gave a class in Belarus, Minsk is the capital of Belarus, and I asked about this many people, no, more maybe. How many had dreams of Prabhupada? More than half raised their hand. So I asked this boy, what was your dream? He said, well, I was a disciple of Hardikesh, and Hardikesh fell down. And I was thinking, he was so more advanced than me. If he couldn't become a devotee, how can I do it? So I was feeling really hopeless. And in that hopeless mood, I took rest. And Prabhupada came to me in a dream. And he said, why do you say hopeless? I'm here. And he woke up, he said, wow, Prabhupada came to me. And then he was a good devotee. So the point is, I think you're not having many dreams because you're getting so much confirmation from the kirtan and from each other. You don't need to get special mercy. Because it is special mercy. If I was coming to you, in other words, this boy was really in distress. And so Prabhupada was attracted. Dinabandhu, right? What do we say? What does that mean, Dinabandhu? The savior of those who who are in anxiety, who are really need help. So that was Prabhupada's move. So if some of, but you don't really, I can see just by looking at you, that all of you practically are happy that means you're making advancement. If you're making advancement, then your guru can help you, the sadhu can help you, the shastra can help you. So only in extreme circumstance, Prabhupada will get involved. He will. He's made a commitment for that. That's another, I'll tell the story. We're coming back from a morning walk in Los Angeles. So we drove Prabhupada to the Palisades, on the coast there, and we walked there. So coming back in the car, I wasn't the driver. I was in the back seat. And Prabhupada and the driver were in the front seat. And we came back to the LA temple, which is like a whole block we had there. And the houses on that block all belong to the audience. So the whole block was like people were out on the block. But we came back a different way, and they didn't see us. So they were out there, they were waiting for Prabhupada. They had their bead bag, the children, and had dhotis and saris, even the children were like. So Prabhupada saw that, and then suddenly he spoke. He spoke with the same full conviction. He said, they cannot check this movement. This movement will go unchecked for the next 10,000 years. So you should understand you're part of a movement that's going to go unchecked. There may be things that cause problems, but we just keep Prabhupada in the center, things will work out. He's ready to help us. Doesn't mean we're rig fixed. We're very much in favor of a Diksha Guru is required. In other words, these rig fixes are crazy because they're thinking that Prabhupada's going to have to be troubled to give for the next 10,000 years to take each Bhakta Bab or Bhakta Vivek and deal with them. So no, there should be Diksha Guru. He gives the neck beads, he gives the spiritual name, and he can help you. But the GBC has already declared that if one feels that he can get more direct, you can say, benefit by directly accepting Prabhupada as the primary guru, connecting us to Krishna, he can do that. In other words, guru connects us to Krishna. So if you feel Prabhupada can connect you to Krishna, then you can say, you get initiated, but your Diksha Guru won't mind if you tell him. I'm getting a lot of inspiration reading Prabhupada's books, and I feel like I have a personal relationship with him. No guru is going to say, oh, don't do that. They're happy. They'll be happy that you're developing a relationship with Prabhupada. So not everybody will want to do that. Many of you will be happy with the guru you have. You feel you're fully satisfied there, that's okay too. But the prefix are wrong when they say that. In other words, Krishna came to reestablish Parampara. And they're saying Prabhupada came to stop it. No more Parampara. Isn't that what they're saying? Henceforth, in July 77, what is it? Prabhupada is going to be everybody's guru. It's not true. And even in the last day, or the last month, Prabhupada, there was one Bengali gentleman was coming in Vrindavan to meet Prabhupada, and he wanted to get initiation from Prabhupada. But Prabhupada told Tamal, it's right there in the conversations, that in this condition I can't do it. I mean, in the last month Prabhupada was, he needed help to walk, to do anything. So he stopped. He said, then Tamal said, so I'll stop for now. And Tamal very intelligently said, stop watching Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, stop initiating. Prabhupada stopped initiating while he was on the planet. Previous to that, he was giving Rigvik. The Rigviks were Prabhupada's disciples. The priest was one of us. I wasn't personally doing, but one of the disciples. And but when in Prabhupada's book, there's a book of Prabhupada's disciples, and it was recorded that he's Prabhupada's disciple, but he was initiated by a Rigvik initiation. But everybody knew that when Prabhupada left the planet, that would stop, and because Prabhupada had chosen these 11 people. There was no question in anybody's mind. until about 3 years later, when one or two of the gurus started having trouble. Then they came up with this Richter philosophy. It's like a reaction to the fact that some gurus fell down. Because then they concluded that Prabhupada couldn't have made gurus. And he's the only guru. I'm bringing it up because these people are here, right? So don't be influenced by that. It's foolish philosophy. One of them came to me the other day and was saying that he doesn't feel happy, but he's afraid to, he was kind of looking like this when he was talking to me. He wants to leave them, but it's a little hard to do. Anyway, that's on the side. But Prabhupada very much wanted his disciples to initiate, some of them. And even more. Like he was saying, we can have thousands of spiritual masters. Of course, another controversy is the woman's spiritual masters. Better not get into it. Unless somebody has a question. When Prabhupada was asked, he said yes, but not many. So I don't see why it's such a big thing. Some lady initiates somebody in Alachua, Florida. But there are those who take it very seriously that this was spoil this time. So I don't want to get involved so much because this is India. But I'm just a little worried about schism. If the India Bureau is insisting on something, and then the North American GBC, they think, and then we have two movements, I would be very unhappy if that happened, because I saw personally how much Prabhupada struggled to keep this mission as one, because he saw what happened to his Guru Maharaj's mission, that is splintered. Every sannyasi had his own mission. Even now, there's like 78 Gaudiya Mas. So it's easy, it can easily happen. The tendency is that when you're then you think, what do I need? I have this is my family. Don't bother me. And so the different movements would come. So, but Prabhupada's conception of the GBC body as the ultimate managing authority has avoided it, at least for the last 45 years. There's been no schism. But otherwise, look at Christianity, there's a schism early on. Muslims, Shia and Sunni, and they're still killing each other in the name of Muhammad. Right? So we don't want something like that to happen. That's my anxiety that we may, in the name of purity, we may split the movement. Okay, back to one more story about Prabhupada. He was concerned about each and every one of his disciples. He would have spent more time, and he was traveling. His health wasn't good. From the very beginning, his health wasn't good. He had stroke, he had another heart attack, even a year later. I didn't even remember that, but I was just reading a couple of days ago. So Prabhupada's health was always delicate, you could say. And he saw what happened to his godbrother, to his Guru Maharaj's mission, so he wanted to have a united mission. He gave the example of one stick can break, but if we have a bundle of sticks, we can't break them. So he was concerned to keep this movement strong. Another point is, just like the Pope. If the Pope died tomorrow, it would be in the news, headlines, right? Why? Because he's one person in charge of, it's a united movement to some degree, Roman Catholics, right? But in the same way, if we just split her up and everybody's Gaudiya, Vaishnava, then we won't have the same. Prabhupada's mood was to really influence the whole world. He wanted to do that. You're the kind of people who can do it. You're intelligent, you're educated. As you get older, even when Jagannatha says sannyasi shouldn't see a woman, but Prabhupada would see there. Why? Because he was always thinking of how this mission happened, spread all over the world. And he called it what? He was thinking about it. He wanted it. Tolerate each other. There's a different culture, no doubt. Some people ask me, how come you haven't come to India the last 20 years? My nature sometimes is a little bit. How can you talk talk about it. But I could see it, it's like, neighbors. So I would just come in and say, what is this crap? And they didn't like it so much. So I don't know even now if I could fit in. It would be too heavy, like I was going to beat him up, right? Because he made that noise. So you have to understand, our culture is different, our way of upbringing is different, but somehow we should all work together to keep Prabhupada in the center. I'm just afraid of the schism. How much time we have?
30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay. We can chant.
When we hear about, when we see Prabhupada being welcomed in airports, or Prabhupada being welcomed in a temple, the amount of fire and charge of all the devotees in those days, how do we get that now? I mean, in our generation, how do we get that now?
You have people like Radhanath, when he comes down, everybody gets excited. Even with me, I thought you were going bonkers here. So, I mean, obviously we're not at the same level as Prabhupada. That was the mistake that the Gurus made. They started thinking at the same level. Guru is one. And they're still going on. But they fell down because they were imitating instead of following.
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi? What is that thing? So you were asking?
How do you manage the separation?
That's how I managed, by taking a stand and being thrown out of places. That's my fate. That he was sent there, what is it Dr. Tree used to quote about this? Senapati? Explain what that means.
Captain of the soldiers.
Captain of the army, propagate the holy name around the world.
Yes, the Prabhupada was predicted by Lord Chaitanya. He's going to preach all over the world. So what's the problem? Anybody have a problem with that? We keep him in the center, and then we can go on with this movement for 10,000 years. Otherwise, if every sannyasi is going to put himself in the center, then the thing stops. It splinters into hundreds. The first schism is the hardest one. The second one is easier. Once you do it once, there'll be some malcontents here. They'll say, no, we're wrong. And then like that, you come back 50 years, 100 years later, there'll be 45 ISKCONs, 100. Yes?
Maharaj,
You know?
why only 10,000 years is the prediction, Maharaj? Why only 10,000 years? Because the parampara is going to continue.
For 10,000 years, and then the Kali will become so powerful that the preaching will stop, and Kalki will come after them. And instead of preaching, he just kills them all. And if those who are devotees he doesn't kill, then they usher into the next age, Satyuga begins again. So, but Prabhupada was asked about that. Well, what about 10,000 years? He said, all my disciples will be back to guidance. So don't worry, just stick with Prabhupada's lotus feet, and he'll take us all back. He's the captain of the boat. So the boat is ISKCON. We can all be on the boat. And maybe on the boat, even in Prabhupada's time, there was different authorities who were higher and lower. There was some hierarchy. There were temple presidents, GBC, sannyasi, and everybody didn't have access to Prabhupada as years went on. In the beginning, anybody had. In 67, 68. But then gradually it was too much, so Prabhupada was delegated. We couldn't just walk in to see Prabhupada. I could because I had a danda from 71. So they couldn't, the Prabhupada servant stopped me, I would say, get out of here. And Prabhupada always accepted me. He was happy to see me. So I was fortunate. I was bold enough to get in and humble enough not to get destroyed by the acclaim. Just like coming in here today, it's like, I don't deserve all this honor that you're giving me. If I start thinking that this is due to me, then I'll be finished. But fortunately, I've learned over the years that I'm just a rascal, but by good fortune, I connected with Prabhupada. That's my only qualification. I agreed to allow Prabhupada to guide me. The only qualification I had. So you all going to have that same qualification. Prabhupada's ready to guide us. Why not? If you're sincere, he's looking for sincere souls. I mean, for me, it was probably necessary to have the Vapu form. There's Vani and Vapu. When I start coughing like this, it means I'm talking too much.
Take some warm water. Maharaj, you want some warm water?
Today morning we had Bhagavatam class, and one devotee had asked a question. I did not have full answer. The question is, Maharaj, in Gaudiya Math, when we see the altar in Gaudiya Math temples, there is Radha Krishna and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. You don't see Nityananda Prabhu there that often. But when Prabhupada established God Nitai, he also brought Nitai. So
Yeah,
how do we
he even
understand?
brought Balaram.
Yeah.
Krishna Balaram, big temple in Vrindavan.
Yeah. So what was the mood and how do we understand between Gaudiya Math and
I went to the farm here, and you have beautiful Balaram here.
yeah.
Krishna Balaram. I saw that yesterday. Yeah, how do we explain it? Well, because Prabhupada is an Amsa of Lord Nityananda. So his mood was like that, to be bold, to boldly preach. Whereas those who just emphasize Radharani, they can get into this Sahajya mood easily. Sahajya means, yes, last night I was dancing with Krishna. They wear saris and the men. Prabhupada didn't like that. From the beginning, he curbed that tendency. There was one group in Los Angeles. They called themselves the Gopi Baba Club. And they would read only in Prabhupada's books about the part with Krishna and the Gopis. And when Prabhupada came there, he heard about that from Osha, and he was alarmed. What? They're not reading Bhagavad Gita? What's wrong? The Bhagavad Gita is for neophytes. That was it. But we're very advanced, because we're going to be gopis. So Prabhupada didn't like it. His comment was, first of all, deserve, then desire. First, deserve to be a gopi, then desire. So we shouldn't worry about what is our rasa. So I don't know what you're talking about, but that can come. That came into Bhaktisiddhanta's movement, that Sahaji Prabhupada talked about. And it's coming to ISKCON also. There's some devotees. I mean, I don't know, they're not in ISKCON, but they're Prabhupada's disciples, and they're preaching the same thing. That we should emphasize our relationship with Krishna, and what is your rasa, and they're always asking each other, So Prabhupada was asked that, he said, no, that will come automatically. Therefore it said that, Bhaktivinoda says, if someone says, come, I will teach you rasa, there are two things, either he's a fool or he's a cheater. Because you don't learn rasa, it's what you are. What is your actual swarup? What is your actual feeling towards Krishna? How do you want to serve him? But that won't be known until you become pure devotee. At least you have to get past the stage of an alternate vritti. All the bad habits will be steady. You have to shut up again. But what about if there's some good singer here? Who's the best singer? Did somebody play harmonia? So who could sing? The lady? That lady was singing when we came in. She's a good singer.
Yes. Some of
Or let's just hear some nice.
Akshara is here.
When was the time you last visited Hyderabad?
I don't know exactly. In the 70s.
Give her some space.
We probably was still on the plan. Oop, okay.
Sit here.
Come on, we have to make room. Come.
Mataji, if you can go back to come to your base.
Yeah, just move a little bit, Hare Krishna. Yeah, you can sit here.
I'm very happy, Maharaj, that you have come to India and
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. I have a disciple, he's an Indian boy, Brahmin by birth. Now he wants to be full-time preacher. So should I send him here and you let him organize things? He's good at fundraising. Then we could have one big temple, right? But maybe you don't want that. You know, it's both ways. Like you meet, what you have now is working, right? You're having, you meet once a week, everybody from all the different churches. But then you have to rent a place.
Yeah.
Krishna Hare Krishna,
Guru Parampara ki Amir Bhakti ki Gaur Premananda What is Shri Guru and Shri Ranga?
If you wish to have His Holiness Sri Guru Swami Maharaj again, in the association again for a satsang, say the loudest three Hari Bol.
Yeah, probably.
No, speaker. Maharaj is giving the Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.